Ask yourself this question. What does a brand new customer get from you that existing customers don't? And why do we spend more time chasing new customers or spending all our time generating incentives and value for new customers and not giving that same level of value to existing customers? Let me tell you what that's costing you. It's costing you potentially customers. It's hurting relationships. It's very much so costing you money. It's wasting time, and possibly it's hurting your reputation. Have you worked with a brand like this? Have you seen this in your own experience in your own industry? If you have, drop a comment and let's talk about it. Let's face it, brand new customers get more attention from you than your existing ones. And why does that matter? Because like any relationship, you want to take care of the people that take care of you. Customers matter. Existing customers matter. Loyalty matters. Building those relationships and maintaining relationships with those people who have been with you for the long haul, those are your priority. New customers will come and go, and I'm not saying they won't get to that point as well, but don't forget about the people that got you here. Most companies take care of brand new customers better than they do existing ones. Why is that? I think it's something it's a rut they fall in. It feels natural to chase the new ones versus taking care of the existing ones. So why does this even happen? I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody's doing this on purpose. I think we all kind of tell ourselves that people stick around because they love us. There's some loyalty. And I think we just get complacent over time. I mean, isn't that the case? So when they love a brand, they're loyal, right? That's what we're kind of clinging on to. And we've built this thing that should essentially keep us around. Sometimes that's true, but a lot of times, if we're being honest, I think it's habit. I think it's comfortability. I think it's convenience. Nobody's given them a reason to leave yet, but in a relationship like this, they see how we treat others and they see how we potentially could be treating new clients versus existing clients. At the end of the day, nobody's given them a reason to leave yet, which is totally different than what actually loyalty is, but it looks the same from the inside. And that's kind of the trap. Because if you don't really know why somebody's sticking around, you start taking it for granted and you don't even know why they're doing it. It's a comfortability thing. The part nobody wants to say out loud is that regulars, if they don't feel love, they're going to notice. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to be kind of tied to this partnership type vibe, especially in the marketing world. And if they feel like they're putting more into the relationship than what they're getting back, that's a problem. I'm not trying to get all woo or be a jerk about the topic, but it's a blind spot. It's not a character flaw. It's just a comfortability thing. And I think it's a bad habit that a lot of companies, they just fall into and they don't even notice it. I think the part we have to remember that is loyalty is not one ingredient. It's the whole recipe. And if we've been cooking with the wrong assumption the entire time, there lies the problem. Pursuing new clients too aggressively and giving too deep of a discount at the beginning sets a bad precedent from the beginning. Not only does it cost you money and get you off on the wrong foot in regards to margin, but it also sets a precedent with that client that you can be negotiated with, that your product or your service is somewhat inflated. I think we've seen that from our own experience where even if we did it under the right conditions of trying to do somebody a favor, when we marginalize ourselves from the beginning, that client rarely sticks around. I think everybody's ran into a client that's there for the price and versus a client that's there for a partnership. And hands down, a client who understands your worth and is there to partner with you and trusts you and appreciates your insight and your experience, that client is worth 10 times that of any client that comes just for a one-off solution. And when we're talking about discount, I don't think it's necessarily the goal to offer existing clients freebies, discounts. Like, I don't think it's about giving it away or like marginalizing again your own delivery. I think it's more about finding the difference in what you're charging them to added value. So what are you giving them an added value that makes them feel like, hey, Mike and CyberDogs appreciates this relationship, but also I don't know where I would get this kind of service because this is awesome. So it's really about attacking the perception of value and making sure that they feel like they're getting more than they're paying for. So what does this actually look like out in the wild? Like, what are you looking for? What should you be expecting from not only what you give your clients, but if you're a client of somebody else, what would you be expecting or looking for from them? I think at the end of the day, deals, incentives, those kinds of things are always nice to have, but I think it really comes down to added value. How are they going the extra mile? Are they treating you with the same level of hunger and professionalism and are the same drive that it took when they closed the deal the first time when they brought you into the company? I think creating a formalized loyalty program with boundaries and framework and community, I think that is a great start to kind of start to build the foundation of what loyalty looks like for you, your company, or perhaps even what you expect from a company you're working with. However, I think it's the behavior. How do you back that up? How do you walk the walk? That's where it really comes down to where it matters and how you prove it to people that you're going to go above and beyond, you're going to go the extra mile, and you're going to do whatever it takes to take care of them, just like you did on the first day that you started working with them. I think what people need to think about when it comes down to loyalty is, where does this buy me some grace? Where does this buy me additional value? Where does this buy me extra insight and communication on that business? If you've ever subscribed to a business or been loyal to a certain brand or even worked with a certain company for a duration of time, you start to realize you learn about them. You get to know them, and a relationship in some way starts to form. Why does that matter? Because it deepens your love and appreciation and that loyalty that you have for that company, but it also buys you grace for when maybe things aren't going the way you think they should. Or if you get in a pinch and you need to reach out to that company or that brand or that partner in business and say, hey, I need some help. That loyalty, that relationship, the grace that it buys you because you've taken the time to and committed to being a part of their community, part of their tribe, it buys you that extra grace and that extra roadway to put things back in place and to get things back on the right track. There are lots of examples where brands extend different options and different avenues in which to cash in or be part of their loyalty program. For me, and one of my favorites is Nike. I'm a huge Nike guy. I follow Nike. I love their brand. I love their products. I'm a huge Air Jordan guy. They sold me on the idea of loving Nike a long time ago. But even though that's still a thing, I'm a loyalist because I'm kind of in the community. I've downloaded their sneaker app. I'm privy to launch details of when the new retro shoes are coming out or when the new Nike Air Jordans are coming out. Sometimes I'm even in on pre-buys. Sometimes I'm able to see things before other people because I'm in that community. That's just one little perk, one little spiff that I have from being a loyal customer and being a brand lover the way I have been. Something very simple, but it plays with your psyche and it allows you to feel connected and feel included. So why does any of this even matter? Well, if you reference back to episode 133, the audience shows up and they defend you. They're the ones in the comments sticking up for you. They're loyal to you in more ways than just buying your product or your service. They want to see you succeed at this point because they're part of your community. The other thing is you've already built the audience. So why spend more time building a new one versus taking care of the one you've already taken the investment, the time, and the effort to build? Take care of those who you already have in place. You're also continuing to build a referral engine that you're not paying for versus chasing new clients. When people love a product, love a brand, love a service, they're way more apt to talk about it. They're more inclined to share that with their friends and refer you to the people that they want to help because they take some sense of pride in the results and the relationship that they've built with you. It's the best way to build a referral engine, and it's the best way to help those people who refer you look like the good guy, look like the winner, and look like they've made a positive referral towards your business, your service, and possibly potentially your relationship that you're going to build with future customers. So we already talked about the fact that it's the cheapest way to build an audience, and in comparison to chasing new clients, it's the cheapest marketing you're going to have by taking care of the ones you already have in place. It's also the highest return. So when you look at your margins and your budgets and your basically what you're building as a company, if you really track those that have been with you the longest, it's probably the best margin you have in your company. It's probably the best way to not only build that relationship, but to find foundation and stability in your company, which then as a result gives you these opportunities to play with margin, to give more added value, to possibly provide discounts, and to give more value to those clients. And lastly, just because it's part of our culture, I think it's the right thing to do. I think you have to take care of the people that got you here. I think you owe them a sense of loyalty because they have helped you build your business over time. Do the right thing and take care of them. Just so we're clear, I am not saying don't chase new business. I'm not saying don't get new customers. Obviously, you need new business. That's how you grow. That's how any of this works. I'm not knocking anyone who's running new customer promos. Maybe they have an onboarding process which gives a deep, steep discount to clients. I'm not knocking any of that. There's a time and a place for those things, and they do work. The point we're trying to make that there is a major imbalance. And I think if anybody's being honest with themselves and they look at how they chase and how aggressively they put discount, deal, promo, value, how they very lopsided put that towards new customers versus existing. If you're being honest with yourself, I think you're going to see that more times than not, you are doing that. You're doing that for new customers and not doing it for the existing. That's the point, and that's the imbalance that we're trying to point out. What it boils down to is it's when 100% of energy goes into a stranger versus 0% or a lesser percent going into the person that's basically been paying you for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years of your business. At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. It's just pointing out that one side's been getting more attention than the other, and to be aware of it and to maybe find opportunity in putting some of that effort into existing clients. You might see that maybe you don't have to chase so hard for the new ones. So at this point in the process, you're probably asking yourself, okay, great, what do I actually do about this? And honestly, the first step is just be aware of it. Look at it. Ask yourself whether or not you're guilty of this thing, or if you've experienced this maybe in a situation with a partner or a business that you're working with. Acknowledge it and open your eyes to it so that you kind of know what that looks like and you're being honest with yourself about it. That question alone and getting there will tell you a lot about not only your awareness of it, but also what you're going to do about it. So once you've done that, once you've acknowledged it, once you kind of see it for what it is, sit down and start thinking about, well, where's the imbalance? How can I start doing more good or providing more value for those who got me here? Once you get to this point, I would also look at those who you're chasing and figuring out the cost of chasing them and whether or not they've turned into long-term clients. So if you chased 100 people with deep incentive, how many of those people turned into loyal customers? Is the deeper incentive giving you a one-off satisfaction, one-off project, or is it actually becoming a cultivating tool to finding clients that become long-term partners, loyalists, whatnot? So evaluate that. So as you go forward, when you find that balance, you kind of know when to do it and when to not, so that you're converting people from new clients to loyal customers. Another thing you can do is let them into the community early. Give them early access. Be more transparent with them. Give them the heads up, like I mentioned with the Nike app. Give them heads up on what you're doing with your business and get them there before anybody else knows. Give them the thank yous that they're not getting elsewhere, and put yourself out there to put them in the position to feel like they're inside the walls of your business and they're special. There's an exclusivity to it, and there's value in being loyal to you and you being loyal to them. Because at the end of the day, people don't leave the place where they feel like they're valued, or they don't feel Like they're in a community where people understand them or they feel like they're with people who are like them. That's important to make them feel included. The other thing you can do is reward them. If they're giving referrals, if it's a job well done, if you find out that they're a much more efficient client than you realize, which makes your life easier, reward them for it. Acknowledge it. Thank them. Call those things out and make sure that they understand that those are parts of the equation that give them not only a deeper loyalty to you, but loyalty back to them in kind of in trade of possibly discounts or added value or whatever. Because the easier they make your job, the better it is for you to keep them happy and to keep them feeding you that work. If you listen to my podcast at all, you'll hear me talk about it's a marathon, not a sprint, all the time. And in this instance, we're talking about a long game, not a short game. Just like we talked about in episode 128, which I believe was titled The Death of Average. You're not just going to buy this with one discount. It's showing up for the same people over and over again, and that takes time. And in this AI era that we're actually in it, it's more important now than ever to those little things matter. And those little things that you can do to show your difference and your value and the distinction of why they should work with you versus somebody else, those are the things that are going to keep you going forward and keep you growing as a business. We have clients all the time where, whether it's financial hardship or whether it's a hiccup in their personal life, or possibly it's just an unknown aspect of business that it gets thrown at them, where they come to CyberDogs, they come to me and say, hey, Mike, here's what's going on. How can you help? And regardless of cost and proposals and budgets and all these different things, inherently our answer is always yes. What can we do? How do we rally our troops to help this client through a tough time? And I guess we do that because A, again, we believe it's the right thing to do and it's part of our culture. But B, we have built a relationship with these people where we don't want to see them fail. We don't want to see them struggle. So to use our resources and to kind of leverage the loyalty we have for them, yeah, we're boots on the ground and we are all in to help them get through that tough time, because we know and we realize that when we do that, it's going to deepen that relationship. It's going to strengthen that loyalty, and we're going to make that money back. We're going to get that time back in the long run because we did the right thing for the customer. The value we're talking about doesn't always come in the form of currency or deals or discounts. Sometimes it comes in the form of emotional support. Sometimes it comes into the form of strategy. Sometimes it comes in the form of composure. So I think back to, when COVID first hit and the whole world was panicking. Our clients were panicking. Industries were panicking. And for them to find good, solid advice and find people who were in their corner that could talk them through it and kind of commit to being there through this process, it was difficult. And we were nervous for ourselves, to be honest. But when we worked with our clients, we got on the phone with clients and we walked them through kind of the promise of, hey, we're going to be there for you. We need to remain calm. We don't want to go to one extreme or the other. And what I mean by that is we're not going to give up, but we're also not going to pretend it's not happening either. We need to be nimble and we need to craft a plan and a strategy so that we can still, move about in the industry and do the right things for your business to keep things rolling. And I think the point is like that value and that added value and that loyalty to our customers doesn't always have to be currency. Sometimes it can just be being there as a client and being there as a support mechanism or a partner to those people. At the end of the day, we think people stay because they love us, because there's no place else to go. And a lot of times we're just kidding ourselves about that. We really need to take a look at the details. We need to look at the numbers. We need to look at the relationship that we have with our clients, or even the relationship we might have with one of our partners, and do the math on it and figure out what does keep us around and what's the value. Because the brands that win aren't always the ones with the slickest funnel. It's the ones who have spent the time to build relationships with the people that helped get them there and built a relationship with them to the point where they would never leave because their friends, their family, their partners in business, and they drag their friends in with them. Building a successful brand, a loyal brand, is not about pleasing everyone. It's about finding your edge and keeping the best customers obsessed. That's exactly what we teach you how to do every week on Brand Retro. If you got value out of today's episode, hit that like button and subscribe today. Watch the full episodes on YouTube, listen on the go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon, and visit brandretro.com for more.